Good evening and welcome to another edition of In the Garage. I'm Bill Tipple. We're here at the Craft Emporium in downtown Bellefontaine. It's a big crowd tonight, so you're going to hear some crowd noise for sure. It's a big crowd here. There's still a few seats available if you want to stop by the Craft Emporium, 120 West Chillicothe in downtown Bellefontaine. Brian Hart is here to service, and our show is brought to you by Top of Ohio Radon Service. He knows how to take care of radon, which is a silent killer. He did it at my house. It's a way to prevent cancer. Call Top of Ohio Radon Services, 937-935-2806. Tonight we're talking Big Orange Sports and Vogel is the greatest of all time. I think when it comes to coaching, she's retired now, but she's still, if you follow social media, Ann is still involved with things that are going on at West Liberty Salem when it comes to cross country and track and field. And we'll also talk to Aaron Lauck, who succeeded Coach Vogel. Aaron is the girls cross country coach, and he's also the boys track coach. But Ann was the girls track coach at West Liberty Salem for 32 years, was the girls cross country coach for 31 years. And you've got your summer run coming up. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We want to promote the summer run, which is coming up in about 2.5 weeks. We reminisce and talk about the Big Orange and how it really got started with one of the key players was Ann's brother, her late brother, who was a great runner in the 70s, and how the Big Orange tradition of running, and when it comes to cross country and track and field, just really has not missed much of a beat at all. But Ann, welcome to Garage Sports in the Garage.
Hi, Bill. It's always fun to be with you.
Yeah, we've done this before a few times. We have always have a good talk. Let's talk about the summer run first. For those listening or watching, you can watch us on YouTube. You can, come back and listen to this on Facebook if you want to tune in later. Where is the summer run and what's it all about?
So the Boss Summer Run is a road race that this will be the 48th year. It was started by Ken Lehman, who started the Big Orange back in the day. I believe the first race started at the firehouse, and not a lot of people were. It was mostly a race for the boys on the team to compete before the season actually started, and then they could compete. And then they moved it to Lions Park. It was on a Labor Day weekend for a long time, and then the Lions Club said too much going on at the park, move it to another date. So I guess it's the third Saturday in August. It's, I would say, one of the longest running road races in Ohio. It's 48th year. Road races are starting to be a little watered down right now. But our race, we used to have a 10K and a 2.4, and now we do a 5K race. But then the fun thing we added is a fun run for you. So there's a 1 mile fun run, and they do an 800 too for the little bitties. And watching those kids run, and that's a great way for the team to make some money and buy equipment or uniforms they need.
It's also a great way to keep your program going because you're always keeping that excitement. Is that part of it?
It's a big part of it. And then kind of a spin-off from that, and we started having this Big Orange Run Club. Aaron was a part of it. It was just, for a while, it was more like 5th and 6th graders. I mean, Caitlin Stapleton, Megan Adams, those names are familiar. They would run in, like cross-country high school meets would have a little elementary run for kids. And Aaron would bring those kids with our middle school. And then Aaron's wife, we thought we'd take it up a notch. Aaron's wife, Mandy, kind of took it over and made it into, we were excited when there were 40 kids that would come. Now there's like over 200 registered this year for it. It's free. But the idea behind it, obviously, as coaches, we've always if we could get 3 kids per grade on the team. Cross-country teams don't have, at our school, they don't have 40 kids. We're happy if we have 12. 12 is a great number. But so we started this, but beyond trying to get kids to run, we really felt like, as coaching staff, that, kids needed age-appropriate athletic development. I mean, I'm going to be controversial here, but 3-year-olds who can't skip have no business playing soccer. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. It's ridiculous. So we're doing age-appropriate, and we have 4-year-olds, but we're doing age-appropriate activities to develop them as athletes. And they learn confidence, resilience. They have fun. Right now, Mandy, when she took over the girls' soccer program, she handed it over to Johanna Smith, who's a Big Orange alum. She's doing a great job. But it is great energy. There's kids from literally 4 years old to 12 years old. The high school and middle school kids help with the program. So it's a great way to get young kids out and to see what cross country is about. Because a lot of people, no matter how successful we are, some people don't understand what cross country is. They think it's track or something.
We'll get Coach Lauck on here in a moment.
Okay.
We'll kind of share microphones here. And this is a little neat play on words. If you want to see more on this summer run, which is August 16th in West Liberty, there at Lions Park, then you run around outside of Lions Park. Born and Raced, and it's a play on words, Raced, right. RACED. Born and Raced, westliberty.com?
Right.
Okay.
Right. We have a website there. There's registration and info about the race.
And Garage Sports on the Facebook page has more, too. Well, one other question, and I've asked you this question before, but I'm going to ask it again. You are now retired. How is that for you to step away? You're still heavily involved peripherally, but how is it to not be there in that grind every day?
You know, it's hard. I mean, that was my identity in a lot of ways. I was a coach, and obviously I'm a wife and a mom and a friend and a daughter, all those things, but that really was my identity. So it was time for me to step away. I'm at peace with my decision, but it's still hard. I mean, I miss it. There's sometimes I'm like, did I make the right decision? But yeah, it's good. It's good. And they're going to camp. The team's going to camp tomorrow, and I will be totally forthcoming. I hated camp. Like, sleep is sacred to me, and to sleep in a cabin with a snake, I don't know. We've had all sorts of things. Baby mice born. I don't miss that. I don't. Right. I like my own bed. So, yeah.
Well, what part, on the flip side, what part do you miss?
The girls. I mean, obviously, that's the biggest part. I miss the girls. I miss that camaraderie. I miss the antics they did, just having those relationships with them. And I still have the relationships with a lot of the girls. I mean, I just got a message from one of my former runners from like 20 years ago. There's still that relationship. And I also miss the coaches. I mean, Aaron and Mike are like my little brothers. I mean that in a respectful way, not that you're like rascals or anything, but I miss that. And the coaches from the other schools. I mean, you really become friends with your competition. It's a little different than like a football or a soccer where it's so head-to-head. I mean, you really respect and value the time that these people put in to their kids. And so I miss that. And I'm still friends, and I'm still part of the Coaches Association for the state. But those are things I'd miss.
Well, those listening that maybe have not read some of this on Garage Sports, or just maybe they haven't heard or followed the history, out of all the sports in maybe our area of the state, the West Liberty Salem cross country and track is right at the very top. You could argue maybe Graham wrestling. I know that's a little further south, but you go back.
We don't recruit. I can say that now, right?
What's that?
I said we don't recruit.
Oh, you don't recruit? Well, okay. Yeah, well, wrestling's different, a different animal, too.
Yes.
But, it goes back to the 70s, and these are some great stories on Ken Lehman, who really was the guy that got it going. And I know your late brother was one of his runners, but what did Ken Lehman do to be kind of the founder? What happened to make this running take off so well?
Well, he wanted to be the football coach. and he didn't get the job. And Emerson Brown, who was the superintendent at the time, a group of students came to him and said, we want to start cross country. And Emerson said, coach cross country. So Ken immersed himself in any kind of information he could get to make himself a better coach. But I'll even go back to my brother played Little League for Ken. And Ken was, you just bought in with him. I mean, I remember my parents and going to Little League games, and we'd have signs at the tournament games. I mean, he knew how to get the most out of his athletes. And then he recruited a lot of those baseball kids to run. And still to this day, how Ken's mind works, it's amazing. I love to pick his brain. I actually tried to call him before I came, but he didn't answer. I must not be that important. But he was just a great motivator, and I think he was ahead of his time for coaching.
Would he be like in his 60s or 70s now, as far as his age?
Oh, he's in his, Ken, I love you, but I believe he's in his 70s. Yeah.
But he was so great at relationships, it sounds like, and motivating and getting kids to kind of buy in. But what did he know about running when he took over?
I don't think a whole lot. I mean, I think he knew how to motivate people. And then I think that's sometimes the most important thing. I mean, he knew how to connect with his athletes. And then the other stuff just came. I mean, I read a great quote today from Steve Magnus, who used to coach at the University of Houston, where Ken used to coach. But he said, he talked about this story that one coach wanted all the coaching workouts from a guy from, I think, Arkansas's old coach. And Arkansas's coach reluctantly gave him the workouts, but he said the workouts don't really matter. What matters is knowing your athletes. And I think Ken had the knack to know his athletes and know what motivated them. And then the rest he learned and passed on to the boys.
When did somebody say, when we say the Big Orange, it was boys cross country. When did they really take off? Like mid-70s, late 70s?
Mid-70s. So they won state 76, 77, 78, 79. They should have won in 75. But there was a car accident. The Yoder twins, they actually had just dropped off my brother from the district. It was district back then. Now we would call it the regional meet. Dropped off my brother, and one of the other boys on the team just came over to hang out with my brother. They left, and they were in a car accident. And Dwayne Yoder, who would be Lee Yoder's uncle, Dwayne was injured in the car accident, and he was their number anywhere from 1 to 3, and so we ended up third at state that year. But, I mean, I think that the thing started buzzing probably, and I was pretty young then, but 74, 75, it took off. And, I mean, Ken had so much depth. After that 75, there were so many guys. I mean, there was one year Earl didn't run and we won state. Earl's sophomore year, I mean, he was hurt and the number one runner, and we still won state.
Whoa.
Yeah.
When did the girls cross country really take off?
82 was the first full team we had. Back then, they only took one team to state, and we got second. Our number 2 runner was really sick. But, I mean, I think it slowly took off, and there's been some peaks and valleys in the program. But I think, probably late 90s, the Amanda Hayes, Ashley Eads years, that's when we really started having a program. I mean, we've obviously had a state champ with Maria Newcomer before that, but I would say late 90s, early 2000s.
This is going to be kind of an awkward question, but I think I have to ask it. What made you such a great coach? I know you don't want to probably talk about that, but you were a great coach. So were there any similarities between like Ken, the way he did it, and you? Like maybe your runners have even talked about that now because you're done. What made your team so great?
Wow. Well, I don't think I was that great of a coach at first because I really was just focused on winning because that's what you thought you were supposed to do was win. And then I think I slowly figured out having these relationships with my athletes and encouraging them and building their confidence helped. And I'm a lifelong learner. I love to learn. Like, I wasn't afraid to say, hey, these workouts worked for Ashley and Amanda and Abby, but I'm going to try something different for Shonda, Megan, and Jasmine. So I think those things, and just being willing to learn and not being afraid to fail. Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Like, when you're coaching small school sports, you're not going to have the athletes every year, but just, keep showing up every day and sticking to it. And, if the athletes see you doing that, they're going to do the same thing. They feed off of the coach a lot.
What years did the Lady Tigers win a cross-country state championships when you were there?
2020.
Okay.
That was COVID. That was a pretty amazing. That year was, just racked with, didn't want to get anyone sick. We hung on.
Any other top 5 finishes for the team?
We had a ton. Even last year, the girls were top 10 last year. On my website, it's on there. We've had at least, I'd say 8, 9, 10. A lot of top 10 finishes.
Okay.
Aaron's going to do the math.
Girls track. You were the coach for that too, and you're well known for both for sure. Girls track, did it take off in the late 90s? When did that take off?
We were actually, when I ran track in high school in the 80s, we were good. And again, peaks and valleys. I came on in 92 and I was really young, but it was like hard to beat Ben Logan at the WCOC meet. We finally kind of break through there. But I really think probably in the 2010 era, they were good. We get a relay team and a person, but like kind of that we started dominating in the conference and maybe the OHC, and maybe that's not that impressive. But now it's hard to win. OHC's good, but back then it was, came along.
What years did the girls win a state title?
2019 and 2021. And we should have won. We had everyone back in 2020, but didn't have a season.
State said no, you can't do it because of COVID. It got canceled for everybody with the spring sports. Aaron Lauck, we're going to get in here, and then we'll maybe go back to Coach Ann Vogel. Aaron, hold on. Aaron is your successor. Did you have any say in this, or was this Morgan Sullivan, the West Liberty State athletic director? How did that all happen?
I was very manipulative in getting Aaron to coach. There wasn't anyone. I would have ideally, and Aaron probably agree, like one of our alums, one of the girls to come and take over. But and I think Aaron really loves coaching middle school. I don't want to speak for him, but when I talked to the girls and told them I would retire, they were like blowing up my phone. Who's coaching? I'm like, who do you want to coach? And they said, Coach Lauck. They all want to coach Lauck. They had him in middle school. They wanted him. And I said, well, I would be relentless, bug him, and they did. So that's kind of how it played. He was a little reluctant. I had him over for dinner, got some drinks in him, and I'd say, you'd be great at this, and Mandy'd be great at the girls' track coach. But that's kind of how it played out.
I knew there would be an answer. Let's have you pass the microphone over to Aaron Lauck, who is the West Liberty Salem girls cross country head coach and the West Liberty Salem boys track coach. So he does double duty like Ann. And if you live around Bell Fountain, you might have heard the name Aaron Lauck. He did some coaching at Bell Fountain High School, and he taught there for a long time. How long did you teach at Bell Fountain High?
I was there for 20 years.
Okay. All right. And you've been at West Liberty Salem for 6 or 7?
This will be my 7th year.
Okay. Well, first we're going to have you talk about Ann. This is the cool part of the show. You get to kind of talk about her. She talked about you. What did coaches like to watch other coaches, and they're all trying to kind of steal ideas. Now, to steal an idea might be a little easier than to execute it and get the kids to do it, but what did you take off of watching from Ann? What are some of the things that Ann did that you still use today?
Well, when you asked the question to her, what made her one of the greatest coaches, I started making notes and just went boom, 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 because I was afraid she wouldn't say all of the things. But here's my list with Ann. She has amazingly high standards. When I was brought on as a middle school coach, the first meet that I coached was at Columbus Grove. And that's an opener. It was a highly competitive meet. And for one reason or another, the high school girls didn't run very well that day. They were a little intimidated, or I can't remember really the gist of why they very underperformed. And when they came back from running, Ian said, "Get on the bus. I'm going to tell you something, and I don't want other people to hear it." And they got on the bus, and Ian read them the riot act. And I thought, that's one of the most awesome things I've ever seen. I mean, it was the idea that you come here to compete, no matter what is going to happen. And the girls got off the bus, and then after a while passed, and then she loved on them a little bit. And I thought, that's how it's done. That's how you do the things. But so the high standards is number one. Number two, like she said, knowing the athletes. She knows her athletes very well. She cares for the athlete very well. And the other big thing about this is it's not just the athletes that are the top seven, the ones that are always performing. It's each and every athlete. She always gives all the athletes equal attention, even the ones that don't necessarily contribute to the success of the team. They have a role and they know that they're important. Another thing is she collaborates.
You're a preparation guy. You got all these notes. This is going to be a great answer. This might go on for 5 minutes. Keep going.
I wasn't going to miss an opportunity. Right. She collaborates really well with other coaches. It's kind of neat to see her hold court with the other coaches because, she gets there on the track. They kind of flock around her. They ask her for advice. She delves it out. You should see her at the clinic. There's always a lot of people that talk to her. She has a very good relationship with coaches all over the state of Ohio. And then what she had said before, willing to learn. I've always loved the conversations that we would have when I was a middle school coach or whatever about talking shop, the X's and the O's, how to do it. There was never, in her mind, the way to do it. There was, let's figure out the best way to do it, A, B, or C, and always willing to pivot, to be flexible, and to learn. So those are my talking points there.
Well, the next question I have for you, Coach Lauck. Aaron Lauck here is on In the Garage, here on Garage Sports at the Craft Emporium, 120 West Chillicothe, downtown Bellefontaine. Still a couple seats here. It's an active place tonight, though, if you're looking for a drink or a good time. And this happens in other industries, but I think it's kind of highlighted in sports, especially like college and pro sports. If you're like Ryan Day after Urban Meyer, you're the guy after the guy. There's pressure. If you're Earl Bruce after Woody Hayes, you're the guy after the guy. You're the guy after the girl in this case. So were you ever hesitant to be like, oh my gosh, can I keep up with Coach Vogel? Like, did you think about that at all?
I was very hesitant, not in the sense that, I was worried about anything I would or wouldn't do. We had talked about the plan and the future of the program is a young, dynamic, hopefully an alum female to take over the next chapter. It was not necessarily supposed to be me. My role as a middle school coach, I enjoy, I embrace. But there again, Coach Longshore, who I'd coached with for a number of years, is a fantastic coach. My son Dylan took over as the other middle school coach, so they were in good hands. Like what Ann said, the girls reached out to me. Ann reached out to me and kind of gave me a pep talk. And I thought, okay, this is what we're going to do going forward, and I'm going to give it the best shot. We're going to do it. And
well, you've done it for a little over a year. Girls cross country, that is. She retired in June of 2024, so it's been already over a year. Now that you've done it for a while, what do you think? What's the part that you really like? What are the parts that are the hardest of this job?
I think with the varsity thing, there's just a little more extra duties as far as administratively and things like that. The kids are a little bit older. They see through what you say a little bit quicker. They're a little more analytical. So you gotta be able to explain things a little bit better. But I don't know. I coached these girls before, most of them. And It was a good season last year, and I'm very happy to coach them again. The game plan hasn't changed. We're waiting for the next dynamic female young coach to take over, and I'll coach them for as long as I need to. But I'm happy to coach them this year.
All right. How well did your team do last year?
We were 4th in state.
That's what I thought. You don't miss a beat. Really, I mean, you really didn't miss a beat. When you were an athlete, were you a runner like Ann? Were you a distance runner? What was your running background when you were a young guy?
I just ran in high school for Spencerville. I was a state qualifier 2 years. Didn't perform very well at the state meet, underperformed. I was a very nervous runner. I did, in track, went to qualified for state in the 4x8 2 years. Senior year was probably my best year in track. We were runners-up in the 4x8, and I was 8th in the 2-mile, and kind of learned how to relax at the big meets. One of the big things that, when you're kind of a head case in high school and you underperform, when you're a teenager, you're kind of like, woe is me and things like that. But as a coach, I've learned to take those experiences and help a multitude of different runners as far as coaching them through anxiety. And then you realize that those experiences that you had in high school were for the best. And I kind of embrace that role and try to help kids learn how to compete and be calm.
Well, you're the West Liberty Salem boys track coach. And I'm sure you've gotten this question before, Coach. Do you coach the guys different than the girls, or it's kind of the same?
There are differences, but another thing that she taught me is you don't back off from girls. It's not, you might have to talk about feelings a little bit more. Guys sometimes are a little bit more cut and dry, but you're not necessarily, you don't change the standard. The standard is the standard, and that is to be the best you can, to work hard, to listen, and learn the process. Boys and girls are different. I do get in touch with my feelings a little bit more in the fall than I do in the spring. And coaching sprinters in the spring with guys, there are some different personality types that are different in cross country as well.
Well, the thing that all these West Liberty Salem running teams have, boys and girls track, boys and girls country, they've been great in boys cross country under Mike Loudon, is it must value, the kids must value it. And when you can have that, and you got participation, you got numbers, and it matters to them, I think that's more than half the battle. I wanted to have you talk about that, how you could tell that it matters to those runners. They want to do well.
The tradition at West Liberty is exceptional. And being a coach at other places, it's something that you never want to take for granted, that tradition. And that does help. But I think Ann would tell you the same thing. We fight for that tradition every year. In a sport like cross country, even with the tradition that Big Orange has, you're only a couple of classes away from that evaporating. And there's, if you go back 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and you look at the state results, you will see programs that were the perennial favorite. You look at it today, it's not there anymore. And so we take that upon ourselves every season to not take anything for granted. We fight for that tradition. And these kids, they're different kids every year. Every 4 years it resets. So we have an obligation as coaches to instill that tradition in them.
What did your team do? Because we're getting pretty close. Tomorrow's August 1st. They'll be running real meets in about 3.5 weeks. What did the girls at West Liberty Salem do this summer? Like, when does the off season start, where they started really getting ready for cross country? Is that June 1st? When does that start?
I think it's the third week in June we start. And, intensity wise, it will build and build and build. We seek for consistency. We don't need to be on fire in June or necessarily July, but every week the intensity builds just a little bit. We work on forming good routines, good habits, and teach what the process is. And now we're ready. And I kind of give the speech throughout the summer. Every week we just kind of turn up the temperature, and so they're healthy. And they, even the first couple meets is not the level of intensity it is when we get to mid-October. And so they can, we don't just flip a switch necessarily. They're kind of ready for that increase of intensity.
Do you have any expectations for your team yet? Do you have any idea how strong the team could be?
on paper, we look pretty good. We returned everybody from last year. So that's good. We're a work in progress. We have benchmarks that we have to get through in the next month. We have a time trial that's the Midnight Mile. That will be an important to just kind of see where they are training-wise. And then from there, we just keep on.
Okay. So any goals? Have the kids talked about any goals? It's still early, but have they talked about like where they want this to go the next few months?
So we don't want to talk about state and things like that because, you know, the main goal will always start every year, no matter what, at our conference. Our base goal is conference. We want to win conference every year. We want to be mindful of the competition. This is kind of an uptick in girls cross country in the OHC. You're going to see Greenon, Fairbanks, and Cedarville have very good teams. And, you know, we have a gigantic bullseye on our back each and every year. It would make them so happy to beat us. And they get amped up for that. And if I were one of those schools, I'd do the same thing. So we want to start at OHC, and we want to make sure that that's what's in our mind every week. What are we doing to get ready? Again, you know, we want to focus more on the process and talk about ourselves more than anything else the first month and a half.
Do you still run, by the way?
No, not a lot. I'm riding a bike around nowadays to keep up. What I tell myself is that it allows me to see all the girls and I can go back and forth. In reality, I just can't run very well. There was a pickleball injury that I used as an excuse. My knee blew up and I got a bike.
Wow. Okay. Let's go back to Coach Vogel here just for a few minutes here on In the Garage, here presented by Garage Sports. Top of Ohio Radon Services, our sponsor. Paul Newland, he'll come out and check out your house and make sure you do not have radon. Paul's number is 937-935-2806. We're doing our podcast from Craft Emporium, downtown Bell Fountain, 120 West Chillicothe Avenue. Coach, again, we're talking about the summer fun run. I want to wrap up the show with this. The date, the time, and, why those adults or young kids should come out and do it.
So the date is August 16th, Saturday at Lions Park. The fun run is at 8:30. The 5K is at 9. There's a Lions Club is having a pancake breakfast. But most importantly, it's something to support our kids. Every team has to make money, sadly, and this is our way to do it and bring the community in and make it a fun morning for our town and for people. We have some people that have come for 20-some years, just come to run that race. And it's through the beautiful Smiling Valley. I pushed that in there, but it's a fun race, and we have great door prizes. It's not fancy. Would that be fair to say, Aaron? But it's a nice, solid race and a fun way for anyone that wants to support our program to do it. And you get a free T-shirt with your race entry.
Does Megan, your daughter,
yes.
Does she get involved with this at all?
She runs sometimes. This year, I don't believe she's going to come up for it, but she has run in the past. Like last year, she goes to grad school at Indiana University online, but there's 1 week a year she has to go to IU for the full week. Now this year, I don't think that's the case, but who knows? She might show up if I bug her enough.
Megan Vogel, one of the all-time greats at West Liberty Salem, and she's been out of high school now. Time flies. Maybe 12 years, 13 years. How long?
She graduated in 2013. So yeah.
Wow.
Time flies.
Coach, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us, Bill.
Ann Vogel, retired coach from West Liberty Salem, girls cross country, girls track. Aaron Lauck, who's the head coach of the West Liberty Salem girls cross country. He's the head coach of the West Liberty Salem boys track. And again, a lot of these fall sports, some of them are already doing acclimation days. If you drive by schools, you might see kids and teams. I think pretty much all of them go full bore starting tomorrow on August 1st. If you'd like to read more about West Liberty Salem sports, go to Garage Sports on Facebook. If you missed our show, you can see it on the Garage Sports Facebook page and on YouTube as well under Garage Sports. Thanks to Ann Vogel and Aaron Lauck and our technical director, Hoyt Buckingham. Buck always makes it happen. We'll be back again next Thursday. I think next Thursday's guest is Lance Predmore, I believe. I believe it's going to be Lance Predmore here at the Craft Emporium. For all of our folks, I'm Bill Tipple saying have a great week.